Have you ever felt like the bond with your child or grandchild is slowly fading and you don't know why? You've given them your time, your care, even your sacrifices. You remember their first words, their favourite foods, the way they used to run into your arms without hesitation. But now there's silence where there used to be stories, messages left on read, phone calls not returned. And even when you're in the same room, it feels like you're living in different worlds. If that's ever happened to you, you're not alone. What makes it even more painful is that your heart hasn't changed. You still love them with the same strength, maybe even more than before. But the way we connect changes as we age, and no one teaches us how to grow with that change. That's why so many parents and grandparents find themselves asking, "What did I do wrong?" Or worse, "Am I no longer needed?" But here's the truth. Your role hasn't disappeared. It's simply evolving. And in this video, we're going to explore something deeply meaningful. How to preserve love across generations. How to remain close without overstepping. How to be heard without demanding. And how to build a relationship that feels safe, warm, and respectful for both you and them. This isn't just about being better at parenting or grandparenting. It's about finding peace in your relationships. It's about letting go of what no longer works and rediscovering a way to connect that heals rather than hurts. Because when we master that, we don't just improve one relationship, we change the entire atmosphere of our family. One of the first truths we need to embrace is this: connection requires curiosity. It's easy to assume we know everything about our children or grandchildren. After all, we were there when they took their first steps, learned their first words, and faced their first failures. But the person they are today is not the same as the person they were years ago. And just like we change with time, so do they. To stay connected, we have to stay curious, not just about what they're doing, but about who they're becoming. Ask questions without judgment. Be genuinely interested in their world, even if it looks nothing like yours. The music they like, the shows they watch, the struggles they don't always speak about. Sometimes the smallest questions open the biggest doors. A simple "tell me more about that" can mean the world when it's said with kindness and patience. But curiosity alone isn't enough. We also need to create emotional safety. That means holding space for them, not correcting every word they say, not offering advice unless they ask for it, and not turning every conversation into a lesson. As parents and grandparents, we often want to protect or guide. That's natural, but too much guidance can feel like control, and too much protection can feel like mistrust. Instead, let's offer presence without pressure. Let them know, "I'm here, not to fix you, but to understand you." This shift in approach changes everything. Because when they feel safe with you, they'll open up to you. And that's when the real connection begins. Another powerful key to a harmonious relationship is respecting their independence, even when you miss their closeness. There's a bittersweet moment in every parent and grandparent's life when the ones you love no longer need you in the same way. They make decisions without asking. They choose paths you wouldn't have chosen. They sometimes pull away, not out of rejection, but because they're building a life that's fully their own. And that can feel like a quiet heartbreak. But here's the truth. Loving someone deeply means letting them grow freely. It means shifting from control to support, from giving answers to asking better questions, from holding on to cheering from the sidelines. When your children and grandchildren feel that freedom, they come back, not because they have to, but because they want to. And that kind of bond is far stronger than one built on guilt, pressure, or obligation. We must also remember that love speaks different languages. For some, it's time spent together. For others, it's thoughtful words, small acts of kindness, or simply feeling seen and heard. The key is not forcing your way of showing love onto them, but learning to speak theirs. This builds bridges across generations. It helps dissolve the gap between young and old, and between "you don't understand me" and "I see you." And once those bridges are strong, the relationship becomes a source of peace, both for you and for them. Another essential ingredient is being emotionally present, not just physically around. You could live in the same house, sit at the same table, or meet every week, and still feel like strangers. True connection doesn't come from proximity, it comes from presence, from setting aside distractions, putting down the phone, and listening with your full attention. Sometimes your children or grandchildren won't say much. They'll talk about simple things, the weather, their favourite food, a TV show, but inside those small conversations are hidden clues about how they're doing, what they need, and who they're becoming. When you're truly present, you'll begin to notice the little things, a change in their tone, the way they hesitate before speaking, or the excitement in their eyes when they share something that matters to them. That's where deeper relationships are built, not through big speeches, but through quiet understanding. And remember this, you don't always need to fix, advise, or correct. Sometimes the most healing thing you can offer is simply your calm presence and a loving ear, especially when they're facing challenges you don't fully understand. Let your role evolve from a teacher into a safe space, from a guide into a gentle companion. That's when your presence becomes their home. There comes a time in life when we begin to realize it's not about doing more, but about being more present, more kind, more understanding. Being the warm memory your children and grandchildren will carry in their hearts long after conversations fade. Maintaining a harmonious relationship with them doesn't mean there won't be disagreements or distance sometimes. It means choosing love over pride, choosing patience over pressure, choosing to listen before trying to be heard. Your legacy is not written in what you own or accomplish, but in the gentle moments you create, the stories you share, the laughter at the dinner table, the silent support during their hardest days. Be the one they think of when life gets hard. Be the voice in their mind that tells them they are loved no matter what. Be the gentle wisdom they turn to when they need guidance and the soft smile they remember when they miss home. In the end, what matters most is not how much time we had, but how we chose to spend it, with kindness, intention, and love that echoes through generations. If this message speaks to you, hold it close. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Grace Health to continue this journey of wisdom, compassion, and connection together. Because growing older isn't the end of your story. It's the most beautiful chapter yet.